All right, hey, it's Coach Edwards here with LacrosseGoalieTips.com and LacrosseGoalieUniversity.com. Got a question this week. So first and foremost, I apologize, no blue sweatshirt today. Just wanted to whip off a video real quick. Didn't have the blue, the blue sweatshirt because I know I'm going to get an email. Anyway, it's the Olympics are on, and I got an email from a lacrosse coach on the East Coast with a question about his son, who is only a fourth grader, so young goalie, but goalie gets called up, gets a chance to play with a club team. Club team has a Division I All-American lacrosse goalie who's going to be the goalie coach of this team, this club team. Sounds great, right? Well, unfortunately, this goalie is having a challenge. Now, the dad, who was a lacrosse goalie, who's been following my website for years and has been teaching what I teach to his goalie, things are going really well, with this Division I lacrosse goalie, and now things are going downhill. So what gives? What's the deal, right? Well, the question that I wanted to discuss today is what makes a great lacrosse goalie coach? Now, I'm a little biased because I feel like I'm pretty good at this. I've been doing this for a long time. And what I really pride myself in is the fact that I am really good taking goalies who are not necessarily gifted, or athletes in general who are not necessarily gifted, and helping them get better because I was not naturally gifted as an athlete. So the first thing that happens is that we don't want to fall in love with the hype of a goalie. And what I mean by that is that the misconception is that people think that if someone is a great athlete or has great success in a position, that they should be a good coach in that position. So if a kid's a good lacrosse goalie, they should be a good coach of lacrosse goalies. And that's not true. And a lot of times the opposite is true. They're actually the worst person for that position. I actually wrote about this in my book, An Athlete's Guide for Winning in Sports and Life, which is on Amazon. I've seen this happen in multiple sports where an athlete who's a good athlete gets to become a coach, usually because it's just the easiest thing to do. It's like, hey, we're running a camp, a clinic. Can you come down? And they find at that point that those coaches, they look at athletes and they don't understand why they don't get it. And that's the worst thing a coach can be, is when they look at athletes and they go, oh, wait, you don't understand? You're not good at this? I don't get it. So what makes a good lacrosse coach, or a good lacrosse goalie coach in this case, is one, they need to understand progression. Now, what's progression? Progression is this. If I take a 5-pound weight and I put it on your foot, no problem, right? But if I take a 5-pound plate and I drop it on your foot, that's a problem. Now, the same thing happens when we're teaching lacrosse goalies. We take a goalie, a young goalie who shows some talent, and we get them to play up. And when they play up, they get shot on by shots they've never seen before, at speeds they haven't seen before, and they get hurt. And now that confidence that they've built is now shattered. And now we're rebuilding confidence when we didn't have to do that before, because the coach, the athlete, or didn't understand progression. The number one question that I tend to answer on this website, on this blog, is what do I do in, drills, or if I got fear of the ball, or whatever, and it all comes down to progression. See, I believe everybody can be a good athlete. I really believe that, because I didn't believe it in myself, but with good progression, I went on to do some amazing things, and I know that you can too. So as a coach, you put a kid in the cage, male, female, doesn't matter. We're trying to get them to see the ball, know where it's going, and then move to it. So things need to happen in that time. If balls are coming from too close and an athlete's fearful, well, guess what? They're not going to be able to see it and know it and then move to it, because they're going to be afraid of it. But if we slow things down, if we back up the shooter, if we use tennis balls, right, if we pad up the goalie, then we put a goalie in a state where progressively they have less fear, they can learn how to move, And then we get to step 2, which is a great lacrosse coach needs to understand strength and conditioning, or physical literacy, mobility, things like that. Because what happens is you can put pretty much anybody in the cage. And if you put them behind a glass wall where they felt 100% safe, they'd be able to see the ball, right? So they'd be able to do step 1. And then after a while, step 2, they would know where the ball is going, especially if they had enough time to react to it. That's someone who's never done lacrosse in their life. Like they could be an accountant in a high-rise somewhere. You put them behind a glass wall, they get shot on. They're probably gonna have a good chance of seeing it and knowing where it's gonna go after a while. The trick is moving to it. And this is a big deal because what happens a lot of times, especially with young or new goalies, is physically they're not able to explode in front of the ball yet. So what happens is you take that goalie and you shoot on them and they get scored on. And what happens? They get down, they get depressed, they get bummed out because they go like, oh, I suck, right? If I save the ball, good. If I don't save the ball, bad, really bad. It's like light switch mentality that I call that. So a great lacrosse goalie coach understands physical literacy and mobility. Well, okay, did you see that ball? Yes or no? Yes, great. Did you know where it was going? Yes, great. Did you move to it? Yeah, but really slow or not at all. Well, that's where now we've got to understand, well, why did that happen? And I can look at a lacrosse goalie really quickly and I go, you know what? Your hips are weak or your hamstrings are tight or whatever. You know, any number of things that restrict a goalie from being able to make that save. So a great lacrosse goalie coach knows, hey, smart kid, saw the ball, knew where it was going, just can't move to it yet. So we've got to, again, go back to progression, move those shooters back when we can in practice. And then when we get the kid in the game, we need to be really, really progressive of how we look at winning and losing. And here's what I mean by that. So step number 3 for a great lacrosse goalie coach is being more sophisticated when it comes to winning and losing. So a great lacrosse goalie looks at their save percentage as their grade for their game, not the scoreboard, okay? Because if you go out and you lose today 10-8, but you had 40 shots and you made an insane amount of saves, that's a great day for you. But if you go out and you have a bad game, if you go out and you lose 2-1 and you didn't stop anything, well, that's a bad day, right? So we've got to look progressively and help the goalie understand, all right, here's how you really did today, okay? That save, all those goals that went in, those 10 goals, 15 goals, 8 goals, whatever it is, all right, on goal 1, you did this well, you didn't do this well. Great, let's learn from that, right? So that's the third thing, is we got to take a goalie and help them be sophisticated in how they look at their own game. And from there, we move forward. The fourth thing that makes a great lacrosse goalie coach is to first maintain what is working and then look to improve. So we need to first maintain what's working. So if a kid comes to you and they've been working with a dad or a mom or another coach, and you don't quickly just change it, you don't look at them and go like, hey, you know, I've seen a lot of lacrosse goalies where I was like, you've been doing what in practice, right? So it's easy to go like, oh my God, that's horrible, change that, we're gonna do this. But what you need to do is go, listen, that's been working for you? Awesome. We're gonna continue with that for a little bit. Great. So now a great lacrosse goalie coach develops rapport with that goalie. Because now what we first need to do is we need to come to that goalie and we need to keep them entertained. We need to keep them involved. We need to keep them excited about playing, right? And then over time, once we've entertained them a little bit, now we've got the time to what I call edutain, right? So we're gonna sneak in a little bit of new stuff. Hey, let's try this. Let's try this for you, all right? See how that goes. Does that go? Does that work? That work? Great. Keep going. Didn't work? Now that's where, as a coach, I got to understand, like, listen, this training technique or tip or whatever that I've used in the past has worked with other goalies. Why isn't it working with this one? What am I saying that's not clicking here? Or maybe it's not a good tip for this goalie, so I'm not going to use it then. So a great lacrosse goalie coach helps a lacrosse goalie improve on hopefully a steady state. It's never always going to be that way. You're going to have peaks and valleys. That's cool. All right. But a lacrosse goalie's coach's job is to not just throw out what you've been doing and say, here, you're going to do this, because that's stupid, right? To think that as a lacrosse coach, my goal is not to come to you and say, do this and only this. Because you may come and say, you play really well with, pasta hanging off your face mask, and that distracts you enough and makes you not think about something else, and whatever. I'm just trying to distract you here, but you understand what I mean. My job is not to quickly throw it out. So I've got to be really careful about it as a lacrosse coach. You've got to be sophisticated, and then you've got to be progressive in how you coach. All right. So I hear stories every year of kids who meet a lacrosse goalie coach somewhere and they just blow them up. And that's really unfortunate, especially if it's a young kid who's been a goalie for a long time and has loved it, and now all of a sudden they don't want to play anymore, and that's not cool. So those are my kind of 4 big keys to being a great lacrosse goalie coach. Let me know what your keys are. Leave me a comment below. Send me an email, coach@lacrossegoalietips.com. And hey, listen, lacrosse season's here. It's coming. If you're not a member of Lacrosse Goalie University, check it out. All right, I'm in there. I'm available to you on a one-on-one basis. And if you haven't headed over to Amazon yet, I released my book, An Athlete's Guide to Winning in Sports and Life. And so if you are an athlete, or you know of an athlete who's got big dreams and wants to kind of take their sport to the next level, you really need to copy this book. It's not a sports psychology book, although there's some sports psych in there. It's really a philosophy to adopt as an athlete that I know works really well because it worked for me. Someone who wasn't a gifted athlete and who went on to become an Olympian in one sport, a Division I recruit in lacrosse, and almost an Olympian, almost on the path in a different sport too. So check it out. And if you got a question for me, email me, coach.edwards@lacrossegoalietips.com. See you soon. Cheers. Hey there, guys. Thanks for watching. Listen, let me just talk to you for real quick. I want to tell you about my new book, An Athlete's Guide to Winning in Sports and Life. I spent a long time on this book. This is 25 years of coaching knowledge basically packed into a book. And so whether you're a lacrosse goalie watching this, or a parent or a coach, or you know of an athlete who's got big dreams, and you know parents and coaches who are supporting that athlete, then this is the book. I wrote this book for those types of people, for athletes who are motivated, who really want to make something happen, whether they're trying to make the JV or the varsity at their high school, or they've got dreams to play college or professionally or go on to the Olympics. I've had a lot of experience dealing with athletes from a variety of sports who've gone on to big success. We're talking Division I, II, III, MCLA, Division I, Division II, the Olympics. Some have gone on to play professionally. I've distilled everything I know from what I've learned from some of the best coaches on the planet into this book. And so when we launched this book on Amazon, it was great. Real quickly, we spiked up to #1 in the sports psychology section, as well as the coaching section. And I want you to grab a copy. And so what I'm going to do, if you're watching this video and you're a lacrosse goalie, I want you to head on over to my website, lacrossegoalietips.com, and we're going to basically do an offer this year for, if you join Lacrosse Goalie University, you're going to get the book for free. And so basically what you can do, join Lacrosse Goalie University, stay there for a month. You're actually going to get the book for less than what we sell it for online. But I know that once you get the book, you're going to love it, and you're going to want to be part of it. And you're going to be inside Lacrosse Goalie University, where you're going to have access to me and hours worth of coaching footage for lacrosse goalies, parents, coaches specifically. All right, so special deal just for my lacrosse goalie audience and the people who subscribe to my newsletter and who are seeing this video on YouTube. So subscribe to Lacrosse Goalie University. The link will be below, and you can get a copy of the book for free. The book retails for $25, so you're getting a sweet deal on that, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you better. So grab a copy today, click the link below, and I'll see you on the other side. Cheers.